Welcome to the deep dive. We're jumping into something pretty fascinating today, really. It's this convergence of culture, travel, and, well, commerce. Specifically, this big shift away from, generic sightseeing towards really hyperlocal, authentic exploration. We're looking at how this demand for genuine stories, it's creating a whole new economy, actually, and how new tech is popping up to help monetize that for the local voices, the ones actually creating it.
Right. And for this deep dive, our source material comes from a recent industry discussion. It was centered on travel storytelling, specifically in Darjeeling, India. Beautiful place, very scenic. And also the launch of this emerging platform called Hoffero.
Okay, so Hoffero. We'll get into that.
Yeah, and the mission today, it's pretty clear. We want to pull out the key insights. How do these authentic local narratives really drive travel decisions? What are the market failures holding back local creators? And how this new platform, Hoffero, is trying to tackle those big issues: connectivity, professional collaboration, and, crucially, getting paid. For travel creators across India, it's sort of a textbook case, supply meeting demand through innovation.
Okay, let's unpack that then. What is it about local stories that makes them so vital right now? Why are travelers kind of turning away from the glossy brochure and really demanding that local authenticity?
Well, that shift, it's really rooted in this idea of the power of place. But fundamentally, I think it's driven by a bit of a crisis of trust in, let's say, generalized media. It's just not enough anymore for a big hotel chain or, a major travel mag to list the top 5 spots.
Right, people know those are often paid placements or just consensus picks.
Exactly. The modern traveler, they want to move beyond just passive consumption. They want to genuinely experience the soul of a place. And you can really only get that if it's guided by someone who actually lives there.
And those guides have to be local voices.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Like, if I'm planning a trip to Darjeeling, I don't just want the Wikipedia summary of the Mall Road.
No way.
I want to know about that secret family-run tea stall, the one that opens at 6 a.m., Or the specific hike with the best Kanchenjunga view away from all the crowds. Or maybe the story behind some building's architecture that only a local would know.
Precisely. That specificity, that is the currency of authenticity now. It shifts the whole travel experience from just like looking at things passively to actively engaging. And local content creators, they're the bridge. They celebrate Darjeeling not just as a spot on a map, but as a deeply lived experience.
Yeah, they're not just selling the view, they're selling the feeling of belonging there, even if it's just for a week or so.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting, though. Because we have this powerful shift in how travelers think people want that local content. But that demand, it actually creates real friction for the creators themselves. Let's look at the industry context here. Having high influence doesn't automatically mean you have a viable business setup.
The discussion we analyzed really confirmed that. This authentic local content has, explosive influence on decisions travelers make. The data shows it. People are actively booking hotels, choosing restaurants, picking specialized tours, all because of recommendations from these niche creators they follow and trust. Influence is really becoming the new key metric of value. But the system, it just hasn't quite caught up yet.
And that's the paradox, isn't it? Despite playing this critical role and having growing influence, these local creators face huge systemic hurdles. Like, why can't a small boutique hotel in Darjeeling easily connect with a local expert? Someone who has, say, 10,000 super engaged followers in their specific niche. What's the market failure there? Why is that connection so hard?
Well, it often boils down to transaction costs and professionalization. If you connect this to the bigger picture, small businesses and individual local creators, they struggle with the logistics of connecting. Think about it. A hotel might want to hire maybe 20 different micro creators over a year. But managing all those contracts, vetting their authenticity, negotiating payments, tracking deliverables for every single one, it's incredibly inefficient.
Wow, yeah. That sounds like a nightmare administratively.
It is. It really takes specialized infrastructure to bridge that gap effectively.
So these creators are essentially trying to monetize this kind of soft, deep cultural knowledge, and that's almost impossible without some kind of dedicated professional structure. They need a platform that basically steps in and says, look, we'll handle the messy networking and payment stuff. You just focus on creating.
Exactly. The sources we looked at highlighted that the whole industry sees the need to facilitate this collaboration. But it really needs a technological solution to make it scalable and, efficient. Which raises the question, how does a platform actually provide genuine and efficient support, while also preserving the very authenticity it's trying to monetize? And that leads us straight to the solution discussed in the sources. Hoffero.
Okay, Hoffero. Let's introduce it properly then. What's its stated mission? How does it claim to be different from, existing influencer marketing services?
So Hoffero was explicitly built to be that authenticity matchmaker. Its core function isn't just connecting creators with brands in general. It's about connecting them with hotels and local experiences that genuinely match their vibe. That was the term used. They're actively trying to build this centralized community of vetted travel creators from all over India. And the goal is to integrate them into the travel ecosystem, not as like marketing afterthoughts, but as essential voices.
Okay, matching their vibe is interesting, but it sounds a bit vague, doesn't it? For our deep dive audience, maybe, how does a platform actually measure vibe? Does the source material give any hints about the mechanics behind that? Is it algorithmic, or is there some human vetting going on to make sure, say, a creator focused on sustainable ecotourism in Assam isn't getting pitched by a luxury resort in Goa?
Yeah, that's a fair and necessary challenge to the premise. And while the sources didn't detail the specific algorithm, the emphasis they put on quality and authenticity suggests they must be using specific metrics beyond just simple follower counts, maybe analyzing things like topic tags, location history, engagement rates relative to audience size, perhaps the narrative tone of past content.
Okay, so looking deeper than just the surface numbers.
Right. The platform's success really depends on highly efficient relevance. It has to know, for instance, that a specific creator's followers deeply trust their opinion on, say, small, heritage guest houses in the mountainous north. That makes them incredibly valuable to a partner in Darjeeling.
And structure is absolutely key here. Without it, this matchmaking is just, chaotic, labor-intensive networking all over again. The discussion detailed 3 specific benefits that Hoffero supposedly offers to solve that systemic chaos. Let's dig into those.
Okay, the first benefit is pretty simple but crucial. It connects creators directly with hotels and tourism brands. It cuts out layers of obscurity and, potentially unnecessary middle management agencies.
Straight connection. Got it.
And the second benefit, which you touched on earlier, is that huge paradigm shift. It focuses on genuine experiences. It places value on quality and authenticity, not just raw follower count. This is really where the old influencer model starts to break down.
Let's pause on that for a second, because that feels like the core economic insight here. For years, the market valued reach. Massive follower count. Didn't matter how relevant, that commanded the price. Hoffero seems to be flipping the script, prioritizing relevance over sheer size. So why is a hyper-localized creator with maybe 10,000 highly engaged followers potentially better for a niche travel brand than a mega influencer with 500,000 general followers?
It really comes down to ROI, return on investment. The mega influencer might deliver huge impression numbers, sure, but the conversion rate is often quite low because their audience is so global and generalized. A local expert, though, has carefully curated an audience, people who specifically care about and usually trust their regional expertise. So when that Darjeeling expert recommends a specific locally earned hotel, the booking conversion rates for that hotel tend to spike because the trust equity is extremely high. The small hotel gets much better value for their money, and the creator gets rewarded for their unique specificity.
So it professionalizes that niche knowledge. It treats authenticity not as some fluffy, nice-to-have bonus, but as a measurable, high-value conversion metric.
Exactly. It gives it concrete economic value.
Okay, and the third benefit, the one that really matters day-to-day for creators trying to make a living in this field.
That's the big one. The platform helps them secure paid collaborations. It takes that soft, specific influence and translates it directly into hard economic support. It makes being a niche creator a potentially viable profession.
Okay, but let me push back a bit here. Isn't paid collaboration just, fancy terminology for sponsored content, which historically has often compromised authenticity? If a creator is getting paid by a hotel, how is their review still authentic? Doesn't a platform like this just facilitate the very commercial pressure that discerning travelers are trying to get away from?
That is a critical challenge, absolutely. And it goes right to the heart of the platform's long-term viability. The argument made in the sources, however, is that professionalizing the payment structure actually reduces the pressure to compromise authenticity. Think about the old model. Payment might be vague, maybe just a free stay, forcing creators to over-deliver or sing excessive praises just to secure future work or maybe get paid eventually.
Right, the uncertainty creates pressure.
Exactly. Here, the structure aims to legitimize the work up front. The creator is hired not just for general positive visibility, but for their specific, trusted perspective and their reach into a highly relevant niche audience. When the creators paid fairly and transparently for their professional expertise, the argument goes, they have less incentive to sacrifice their long-term credibility, their authenticity, for a single, possibly low-value deal.
Okay, so it tries to establish a legitimate business transaction based on the creator's proven track record of relevance, rather than feeling like some kind of under-the-table barter system.
That seems to be the goal. And the operational side supports this efficiency focus. The discussion noted the onboarding process is streamlined, it's free for creators, they really emphasize speed, they want to match profiles quickly and efficiently with relevant travel projects. That speed and ease of getting creators into the system, it highlights the platform's focus on achieving scale and deploying talent rapidly.
Yeah, it was mentioned that joining takes less than a minute. That focus on being frictionless, that's got to be key for scaling across a place as massive and diverse as India, making sure even hyperlocal creators, maybe ones who don't have dedicated management, can easily access these professional opportunities.
Precisely, lowering the barrier to entry.
So let's try to synthesize this. We've looked at the insights, distilled the driving forces in this slice of the travel economy. It feels like the revolution here can be summarized by maybe 4 pillars: authenticity, influence, collaboration, and support.
I think that covers it well. What really stands out here is this clear movement towards professionalizing local knowledge. It's a definite shift away from the era of, generalized mega influencers and towards experts who can demonstrate specific high-value relevance. The economy is starting to reward depth over just breadth.
It really is. And whether you're listening as a creator, maybe from a niche region like Darjeeling, looking to monetize your specific expertise, or maybe you're a traveler who craves those genuine experiences, or even if you're just curious about new economic models, this really shows how niche, authentic knowledge is fast becoming a highly valued currency in the global marketplace. The whole premise seems built on rewarding the people who truly know the place.
The insiders.
And that pretty much wraps up our exploration of the insights we pulled from that discussion, celebrating the value of Darjeeling creators and looking at how this Hoffero platform aims to structure professional support for these authentic local voices across India.
But maybe to leave you, the listener, with a final provocative thought to chew on. Building on that tension we discussed earlier, the sources really emphasize that joining the platform is almost instantaneous, like less than a minute, and it aims for rapid, efficient matching. So what does this extreme focus on efficiency and rapid streamlining mean for the long-term depth of localized travel content? Will that speed and ease truly unlock the economic value of authenticity faster, allowing more creators to participate? Or could the relentless demand for quick content eventually start to erode that quiet, reflective depth that many local creators really strive for? It's this tension, isn't it, between speed and soul that might define this next economic chapter for travel content.
That's a fantastic question to end on. Really makes you think. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the business of authentic travel storytelling. We'll catch you next time.